What's going on, Ohio Cannabis Report family? It's your boy Gerald Moore Jr. back with another episode of the Ohio Cannabis Report, bringing you all things Ohio cannabis industry, Ohio cannabis culture, and cannabis culture in general. Today, we're going to talk about Ohio Governor Mike DeWine's issuing of the executive order to ban sale of intoxicating hemp products. Hopefully, I'm going to have a guest on here from the App Girls Cannabis team. We are proud supporters of App Girls Cannabis, which is a locally made hemp-derived cannabis beverage out of Athens and Appalachia, Ohio. Um, and so, obviously, there's been a lot of going on in the state when it comes to cannabis legalization. We've had adult use or medical cannabis use for about 6 years now, and then we've had adult use cannabis sales for about a year. We also have home grow. And then obviously the hemp bill, the 2018 hemp farm bill was a federal hemp bill which legalized hemp. And so the governor recently came in and basically did a 90-day ban on intoxicating hemp. Um, and so obviously this is a cause for a conversation amongst the cannabis community, the hemp community, because again, we have a legal industry that has kept out home growers, tier three growers, craft growers from participating in the fully legal cannabis industry. So people have opted out to go to the hemp market, which again, America is a capitalist society and people are allowed to do what they see fit. And again, a lot of people have invested a lot of money into growing hemp, farming hemp, opening up dispensaries or hemp shops, CBD stores, and things like that. So, again, with hemp drinks, there is some disparities in the drinks compared to flour, compared to the edibles and the gummies, which again, if you've watched what the governor basically said, he didn't talk about drinks, he didn't talk about the flour. His main topic was the gummies. He compared um, nerd gummies to the nerd hemp gummies. He never showed any pre-rolls. He didn't show any cannabis packaging for flour. He didn't even show any drinks in his press conference. It was all edibles that were in packaging that could resemble candy, which again is said to entice children, which again, in my opinion, candy isn't even for children, right? Candy in America shouldn't even be for children. When you see the obesity rate, when you see the illnesses and all the things people deal with when it comes to health. So, again, a very touchy subject. I know a lot of people online are definitely having a lot to say about it. And so we're going to touch on those topics on this show. And so before I get started, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Thank you to all of our followers, all of our supporters. We recently hit 100 subs on YouTube. I'm still trying to get back into our Instagram page at Ohio Cannabis Report. That's our main page. We are verified on there. I am using leveraging a building up a backup page. So if you are on Instagram, please follow at Ohio_cannabis_report. And that's where you can find a lot of our information. I'm building that one from the ground up. And then we're still on Facebook. You can follow us on Facebook at Ohio Cannabis Report. And we're up to our 111 subscribers. So shout out to everybody who subscribed to the channel. Shout out to the whole Ohio cannabis community and the people that are willing to put a face to the resistance of the current industry that is trying to basically just monopolize and capitalize off the culture without really giving back. So I think it's important that, as the cannabis industry is still being fleshed out in Ohio, that we as citizens, as consumers, as small business owners and entrepreneurs, we push back against the framework that's being set up to just dominate the industry without really representing the culture, without really helping the community. I believe we should be doing free seed giveaways. I believe the state should be focused on educating our students in college. I mean, all of our major institutions should have hemp programs, should have cannabis programs. I know Central State which is a federal funded school, Federal Land Grant Institute at HBCU. They have a hemp program run by Dr. Craig, who is on my board for our nonprofit. So there is a couple schools who are teaching it. I know Hawking Hills had some programs for cannabis as well. There was a school, Cleveland School of Cannabis. I don't know if they're still around. But I think, obviously you don't have to go to school to learn about cannabis and hemp. If you want to work in the cannabis industry, it's so new. It's basically you can walk in there. I think you could walk in there and basically be like, yeah, I want to work in the industry, whether it's at a bud tender, cultivator, and I mean, that's how I would tell people to do it. Get your feet wet, get your feet dirty, and get in the industry. Unfortunately, I haven't heard a lot of people from within the industry really speak out publicly, because again, they're being muzzled, I guess, in a sense. So you don't hear from a lot of like dispensary workers or people that work in cultivation facilities about their experiences. I know there was a protest. In a union meetup for one of the dispensaries, Herbal Wellness, a couple weeks ago. So again, we're hearing some of the rumblings. Obviously, there's people on Reddit, people on Facebook groups, and people on LinkedIn and all types of platforms that complain. And Ohio's a big state, so there's people complaining in Cincinnati, Cleveland, Columbus, your more rural areas, some of your cities, Akron, and some of those smaller counties. So there's just a lapse of connection too, I would say, in the Ohio cannabis industry, which kind of leads to the disparities of what's going on. And so I'm going to share my screen really quick just to do some more updates on the cannabis industry as a whole. Um, and again, a lot of people are being kept out of the industry as well because they're still in the legacy market. You know what I mean? They're still trying to grow, and make a living off of cannabis. Yeah, I know a lot of people are still going up to Michigan, doing their weekly trips or monthly trips to Michigan. But again, my issue is if you live in the state of Ohio, if you pay taxes in the state of Ohio, you should want your state to operate in a way that is good for you. So you don't have to waste more money going up to a state, spending tourist dollars, you know what I mean, up in another state. And then they get to use those tax dollars however they please, while your state is constantly trying to criminalize you and your people. So again, go to Michigan, but you should still use your voice. Here in Ohio, you should still contact your state representatives, your legislator. You should still be contacting the governor to ensure that you are seen, heard, and supported in the state of Ohio because you live here, you work here, you play here. Um, and so, again, there's a concerted effort, obviously, to continue the stigma behind cannabis, whether it's the smell, whether it's the propaganda behind laziness or being a drug addict or being a gateway drug, whether it's um, still being pushed towards criminalization, right? Just assuming that people that grow, sell, consume cannabis are criminals, or that there are other drugs that are being sold, or that they're tainting the drugs, or that these people are just bad people, right? I think, one of the things I love about cannabis is its ability to humanize us, right? And our ability to care for ourselves in a manner that oftentimes doesn't happen in the medical system. Oftentimes you go to the doctor, you go to the hospital, and you're just a number. You're just another person in and out. And the care isn't necessarily personalized. What I love about cannabis is that it's personalized. You know what I mean? You start to understand the terpenes, you start to understand what works for your body, what works for your pain level, what works for, your mental health. If you're dealing with PTSD, you're dealing with stress, anxiety, you're dealing with abuse in any form, or you're dealing with chronic pain or illnesses, cannabis really allows you to kind of fill that out for yourself, which a lot of times you go to the hospital, you go to the doctor, they're going to prescribe you some opioids, some pills, some Tylenol, some ibuprofen, which again, a lot of people don't discuss, but the damage that does to our uh, internal, right, our liver, our intestines. Yeah, it may solve the pain problem for a little bit, but it also causes a lot of other pain and issues. So I'm an advocate for a well-rounded approach. Cannabis isn't the end-all be-all if you're dealing with pain, anxiety, PTSD. I believe therapy is essential. Talk therapy. I believe exercise, getting out in nature, spending time in healthy environments around healthy people that have a healthy, balanced mindset and approach to life is essential. A lot of our communities, if you come from poverty, you come from working class, you come from a community that has been destitute with information or lack of information, lack of resources, it can be very challenging. And that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing a gross inequality of the haves and the have-nots, and whether that's just money, infrastructure, time, resources, or it's just information. You know what I mean? So in Ohio, you can see the widening gaps, obviously, with what's going on politically. The people that have, you know what I mean? They're not worried about gas prices going up. They're not worried about, inflation, because again, either they're business owners, they're entrepreneurs, they're people that, one, are partially part of the problem of causing the issues. But two, this is the way the society has been designed. We're in late stage capitalism right now. So a lot of things are falling apart because we're trillions of dollars in debt. You have people that the system isn't sustainable anymore. How many people have college degrees with high student debt that can't find good jobs? Then you obviously have artificial intelligence. So people are losing jobs. You have over 300,000 federal government workers that have just lost jobs. Grocery prices are still high. Gas prices are still high. So yeah, there's a tariff war and all that shit. So obviously going into Christmas season, holiday season, things will be very interesting to see how, things continue to go. But I think cannabis it's a cash crop. You know what I mean? So I'm all for the gray market, the legacy market. I'm not here to tell nobody what to do. You know what I mean? And I'm all for overthrowing the government in any type of way. You know what I mean? So I think we need some type of renaissance, some type of revolution, where we don't allow this authoritarianist government regime to just take over. So let's see. I did invite somebody, but I'm not seeing them in the chat. So I'm going. Oh, we got one studio. And then if you're in the chat, let me know. If you're in the chat, let me know where you're viewing from. Oh, there we go. Let me know what part of the city, what part of the state, what part of the country you're in. If you're consuming anything right now, let me know what you're consuming. And then I'm gonna bring up some shout out to Buckeye Buds. And let me know who else is in here. And if you want to come on, the show, I'm gonna put the link in the chat. I love having guests. Please be respectful. You know what I mean? I don't mind if you consume on the show, but just know this is live on YouTube, and then it will stay on there. So please be respectful, courteous if you do decide to join, and have open discussion, open dialogue. You know what I mean? I think the thing I really love about cannabis is it's something that can really bring people together from different perspectives, different backgrounds, which I think is amazing. All right, let me share my screen really quick. We'll just cover one of the articles. My man Stuart Little, shout out to Stuart Little. So this is one of the things that they keep bringing up. The nerd rope gummies, and these, again, they didn't show any like flour. As you can see, there were no flowers, just all candies. They brought up the Sour Patches, which these don't look alike. The Gushers, I guess, kind of look alike. And again, I think parents and business owners have to be held accountable, right? Like if you're a consumer and your kid gets a hold of your gummies, one, people need to be having more open and honest dialogue with their kids. My son is 8 years old. My daughter is 5. and we have very open and honest conversations about daddy's medicine. Okay. I've been a medical patient for 6 years. I have my medical card. Getting my medical card let me start to speak more publicly because I am a public figure. I was a Division I All-American football player, tried out for the NFL in 2013 with the Oakland Raiders, and I've been consuming cannabis since I was 17. But being in the public eye, you couldn't be public about that. I didn't get NIL. I didn't have none of that. So for a long time, like cannabis was a huge part of my mental health, my physical health. Um, and just my practice. I got a degree in healthcare administration, which you can see my degree right there from Ohio University. It was the first university in the state of Ohio. And so, like, again, you grow up very conflicted. Like, here, I'm smoking this weed and it's making me feel good. Like, it's helping me relax my body, my brain. My body's sore after practice, after a game. The doctor's giving me all these pills, Tylenol, ibuprofen. I'm getting Toradol shots in my ankle just to numb the ankle to play. You have teammates that are, taking pills, snorting pills. People always have injuries, a broken arm, you know what I mean? ACL, MCL, sprained ankle. Like there's always something. And so there's always drugs around. Obviously, we're on a college campus. So, you have bars. So there's a lot of drinking. And then you have other illicit drugs. You have cocaine, obviously, weeds everywhere. You got ecstasy, you got Molly. And so, again, you're in college, right? People are going to experiment. But I was somebody, I was like, all I need is the weed, man. The weed made me feel good. We drink a little bit. I see some of my teammates, we'd be at a party, it'd be a fucking mountain of cocaine. And motherfuckers like, nigga, you all right, nigga? You want some of this? Nah, I'm good. Anything I got to snort up my fucking nose, I get it. Y'all be on that shit, but I just need to be even keel. But that's where my love for cannabis really started to come out. And I was in Athens, Ohio, so it was pretty cool. Everyday user of hemp derived cannabinoids here and owner of the first hemp dispensary in the state of Ohio. It's closed now, but was called Healing Hemp Supply Co. Oh, that's awesome. Sorry to hear about your store closing. Again, I mean, I hope we can advocate for you, and I think DeWine has a vested interest in the state's legal cannabis. Of course, they all do right now, right? They're seeing the money. They want to control it. It's state. But that's why, again, we all have a vested interest, right? We all are a part of the government. So we all should be involved. It shouldn't just be the politicians saying, well, I don't like this. We don't like this. We all have a vested interest in ensuring that the state of Ohio is successful, that our children are protected. Like, again, like I said, I have children. You know what I mean? My children know if they come across daddy's medicine, bring it to daddy. It's daddy's medicine. Like that's it. But you have to have those conversations. And unfortunately, again, I'm not in everybody's household, right? Like I'm not everybody's daddy. I'm not everybody's parent. Everybody's not as well rounded. A lot of people like to hide shit. No, I'm very upfront. My wife, talk to my wife, like, because my wife don't really smoke like that. My wife would do some edibles and stuff like that. But one, make sure you put it up, right? Put it out of reach if you have young children. Two, have the conversations with your children about cannabis, about medicine, about healing, about, hey, like mommy and daddy deals with anxiety. I deal with pain. I deal with stress. I deal with chronic illnesses. Mothers, you literally have a baby taken out of you. Sometimes you have to have a C-section, sometimes postpartum, right? Depression. Like there are so many different things. We all just got out of COVID, which again, everybody's dealing with the stress, the anxiety, the depression that came from that, the loss, right? How many people lost family members? I lost a child and I lost a sister during COVID. You know what I mean? So a lot of it, we don't talk about the grief and we just stuff it down. And again, you either gonna go drink, you're gonna go do antidepressants, you're gonna over smoke, you're gonna overeat, you're gonna lash out. You know what I mean? But there has to be healing. And the only way you can truly heal is to have those conversations, not only with yourself, but your community, your family. So that's how I handle it in my family, very transparent. You know what I mean? Like daddy deal with some shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I got CTE, but 90% of college athletes end up having CTE when they die because you can't study CTE until you die. Right. But I know I was a 4-year Division I football player at safety. I know I had some concussions. Right. And so again, in our medical program, CTE is covered. under a medical license. But how do you know if somebody has CTE if you can't test it until you can study the brain when they die? And so, but that's the reality that I have to live with as a former Division I and NFL football player. You know what I mean? But again, it's on me to share my experience and my testimony with other people to say, hey, like I know you guys see these big macho men and these strong men, but they're dealing with real life issues. Oh, you couldn't put the weed down, Josh Gordon? Yeah, because the weed was helping him deal with the pressures of society that is put on you as a high performing athlete. You know what I mean? 90%, I would say 80% of the NFL, 80% of the NBA, and every other sport. Those sports just get looked at the most. MLB, soccer, volleyball, female basketball players, NASCAR drivers, everybody's smoking weed, like, or consuming weed in some form or fashion. You know what I mean? But again, football players, basketball players usually get the brunt because they're, Americanized and we see them a lot. Oh, let me see. I fear this subject is becoming like politics. Yeah, I mean, it's all politics. I mean, cannabis is everything is political. It's America. Like, you can't get out of politics in America. You pay taxes, whether you own a business, whether you just live here, you paying property taxes, income tax, you driving on public roads, you go to, like, everything is political. Like, I don't understand like this trying to escape from politics. It's all political. Your job is politics. You know what I mean? The amount of money you paying for gas is politics. The amount of money you pay for food is it's all politics. So no matter what you try to do to escape it, you go to another country, America's still going to impact your politics because we got military bases all over the place. You know what I mean? Like, it's all connected. That's why you have to be engaged, and a lot of people in Ohio are not truly engaged in the politics of the state. And I can tell you that because I've been at the State House for the last 6 years covering cannabis. I've done lobbying events. Been doing Ohio Cannabis Report for 6 years. I've had legislators on. I've talked to business owners. I've talked to bud tenders. I've talked to processing facility employees. I've talked to college professors, college students. It's all political, no matter how you look at it. That's why I closed my business, politics, and hemp. Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, again, it was illegal because of politics, right? For the last 6 decades, it's been illegal because of politics, right? And then the beautiful thing about what Biden did was the hemp farm bill, but he didn't do enough, right? And so the hemp farm bill opened it up so that, like, it's just this gray area. So again, what DeWine is doing is, yeah, stores are going to have to close down. But if you're an entrepreneur, you can still be online selling hemp. You know what I mean? Like, people are already buying hemp from online. You know what I mean? So again, they might be taking stuff off of store shelves and, smoke shops and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean you can't still sell your hemp products online. You know what I mean? Or still be direct to consumer. You know what I mean? So I think, you got to adapt. But also, I think people got to speak up and join coalition and come together. For sure, this comes down to parents and business owners. Yeah, my grandma, let's say, I got to take my dogs on a walk, brother, man. Salute. I appreciate you. I'm sharing this out of Facebook when I get back. I appreciate you. Appreciate you, Buckeye Buds. And let us know anything that we can help, man. Let us know where you are, too. Where was your store located? Because, again, we know every county, every city is different. I'm in Columbus, Ohio, Columbus proper. But I do understand that there's a lot of moratoriums against cannabis still in a lot of the suburban communities. I'm close to Westerville and Gahanna. I don't believe Gahanna, New Albany. You have Amplify and Sapphire that are right here by me, close to Easton, but those are both Columbus. New Albany doesn't have any dispensaries. I don't believe Gahanna has any dispensaries. And then Westerville has one, but I think it's more so. I don't know if it's Columbus technically because it's like right on the border. It's like Polaris. So yeah, it's still a lot of interesting things going on, but we also have to, educate the community, at a high level, you know what I mean? And I understand a lot of people just want to make money. But we have to educate our community on cannabis, right? Like, there's been I think the doctor that came on with DeWine said that one person died in the study that they did. from Nation Children's Hospital, but we know that people don't die from cannabis. But again, there needs to be education around microdosing. There should be education around, again, mental health. I don't believe cannabis is a one trick like heal all thing, right? Like a lot of people are dealing with a lot of shit, and a lot of times we just lean on weed, right, to just numb us or looking for something to numb us. But as a healthcare professional, you know what I mean? Like I can't be a human without telling y'all like it takes more than just medicine, right? Like again, I've dealt with a lot of grief in the last few years. Me and my wife had a stillbirth. I lost my little sister. And again, cannabis played a major role in just ensuring that mentally, physically, emotionally, like I found some balance. But I also had to go to therapy. We did couples therapy. I did individual therapy. Going for walks in nature, yoga, Pilates, exercise, making sure my diet, like it could be very challenging to get out of bed sometimes, right? Like just that crippling fact of like depression. And I know it gets very dark. And so I think it's important that we understand that you got to keep your body moving, you got to eat right, you got to do the things that you enjoy doing. And cannabis is just a part of that. And so, I know a lot of people are seeking healing and things like that. So, again, life can be very challenging. We're living in very challenging socioeconomic times, cultural times. I mean, a lot of things are shifting. So it can be very tough for sure. Let me see. I did copy one person on the stage. So yeah, let me get back to this story real quick. So, how Governor Mike DeWine issues executive order banning sale of intoxicating hemp products. DeWine holds an intoxicating hemp product, Nerdy Bears and Nerdy Gummy Clusters, during a press conference on October 8th, 2025, where he issued an executive order banning intoxicating hemp products. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine has issued a 90-day executive order banning the sale of intoxicating hemp products starting this Tuesday. So that's tomorrow. Today is Monday. That's tomorrow. What is it? October 14th, I believe. Today's the 13th. Intoxicating hemp products are items that contain THC that are sold anywhere other than licensed marijuana dispensaries, including gas stations, smoke shops, and CBD stores, among others. This ban includes THC hemp infused beverages. Also, just to point out, right, like they took tobacco products off the shelves, I believe, right? Like so, or those flavored tobacco products. So we also have to understand is a lot of these business owners are capitalists, right? So people own a gas station. They're trying to find different ways to make money off of their shop, right? Which again, it's America, I understand. But people need to be held accountable, whether you're a business owner or a parent, uh, cultivator, politician, whatever, to ensure that one, if you're carding people, right? If somebody comes into the gas station and gets a beer, they are carded. You know what I mean? To make sure they're 21. And I believe a lot of these places have a licensed card machine where they could run your license and it'll show you the age or whatever. So I think obviously that should be standard across the board. So I think obviously there needs to be some type of regulation ensuring that people are having IDs. I know if you go into the head shop, smoke shop, typically there's a sign on the door that says, you have to be 21 years or older. I know when you go into the dispensary, in order to buy products at the legal dispensaries for medical or adult use recreational products, you have to be 21 years or older. You have to show them your ID before you walk back to the dispensary floor. And then when you get back to the dispensary floor, you got to show them your med card or your ID or both again. You know what I mean? So I don't vouch for underage selling to kids. But also I think the definition of kids is very varying. I believe that, we're talking about children, but they're also talking about like 17, 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds, right? When I was 17, I was smoking hella weed. You know what I mean? I got to college at about 18, 19. Our backup quarterback on the football team was our biggest drug dealer. First week on college campus, he put about 20 pounds of weed in the middle of the island and was like, roll up. You know what I mean? I was 18, 19 years old. So again, I'm not saying it was the right thing to do, but I have made it this far. I'm 36 years old. I've never been in trouble with the law. I've never had any issues with the law. I'm a college graduate. I was a Division I All-American football player, NFL free agent. I was a team captain, a team unity council member. I helped start a mentorship program. I've been married for 9 years now. I have 3 kids. My life has been pretty successful. I have multiple businesses. I run a nonprofit. Weed ain't stopped me from doing shit. You know what I mean? So I'm a signed published author in the book Courage in Cannabis, which was published by a Black female doctor here in Columbia or here in Ohio, Dr. Bridget Williams. So cannabis ain't stopped me from doing shit. You know what I mean? And so when I was able to finally start talking about it, like that was something that's very therapeutic to me. So I think more of us need to be open about talking about it. I understand people have jobs, people have careers. Again, cannabis has become my career now, just talking about it. But again, I'm a self-employed person. You know what I mean? So sometimes you got to take risk. You know what I mean? And I'm the person that really takes risks. And I'm building this platform, Ohio Cannabis Report, with no funding. All the funding comes from myself. You know, and so I've just been creating this independent media platform. Guess what? You can do it too, because Instagram is free, Facebook is free, YouTube is free, Substack is free, Patreon is free. Obviously, the internet's free. Having a computer time ain't free. But you know, you got to be willing to do what you got to do to set yourself up for success. Let's see, Jameer Young. What's good, Jameer? Just grow it, people. Which again, yes, home grow again. And I tell people to grow their own, but again, we have to understand everybody can't grow their own, right? Everybody doesn't own a home, right? Where they can, like, I have home grow. I have my own, you know, I have my 12 plants in my backyard. You know what I mean? But again, not everybody owns a property to be able to grow. If you live in an apartment, there's risk there, right? One of my buddies, Broderick, who helped me start Ohio Cannabis Report, who runs Between the Buds, who's also a cannabis industry employee. You know, he had to move apartments because he was smoking in his apartment. He was growing in his apartment, and one of the neighbors didn't like it and complained. You know what I mean? And we have to understand housing in Ohio is already a huge issue where most people don't own their homes, they don't own their apartments. So again, where can you consume? Right? They're trying to take public consumption away. They're trying to criminalize smoking in your car again. So where are people supposed to go? Right? This is why we need co-ops. This is why we need community grows. This is why we need more communal protections, because we have to understand that everybody's economic situation is different. You can't just say grow your own. It's not that easy to grow weed, and we know that. You know what I mean? Like everybody don't have, you know, the grow tent, the fillers, the seeds, the lights. Everybody can't afford the energy cost that comes with that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different things that, you know, we can't keep just saying grow it or go up to Michigan. Everybody don't have a garden. You know what I mean? Like everybody don't have just disposable income like that. You know what I mean? So again, we have to start creating solutions, community-wide solutions that help those that are less fortunate, right? They were criminalizing weed, right? They were criminalizing mainly Black folks and brown folks, African Americans, for weed, right? Just prior to 6 years ago. And they're still doing it. So again, you can't, like, our community has been fucking crippled by the war on drugs, right? How many people are in jail for weed, for, you know, attempt to distribute because they had a couple baggies, right? Paraphernalia charges. You know what I mean? Like, and so we really have to do that work as Black community. We understand the church and what the church has done to the Black community and demonizing Black men who have consumed cannabis. How many Black men have been separated from their children because they were consuming cannabis, and then the courts used that against them? How many people don't have jobs because they have felonies on their records because of cannabis, right? How many people aren't getting their records expunged? Like, we have to really be considerate and cognizant of the whole breadth of the issue, right? And that's something that I try to bring out. But that's why politics is important. That's why tier 3, craft grow, delivery is important. This is why education and awareness is important. And destigmatizing cannabis, decriminalizing it is important. Because if you don't have money, you don't have wealth, you don't have connections, you get cut off. And I know that because I have privilege, I have connections, I have relationships. I have businesses. So I'm protected differently than somebody that's just a youngin on the street just trying to make a few extra dollars to help his mom put some food on the table. You know what I mean? Like my lifestyle, the way I carry myself is a little bit different. But that doesn't mean the person over here doesn't deserve the same opportunities to get into the game. And who's teaching that person how to get into the game when we still teaching that weed is bad? Most of the old people in corporate America still teaching that weed is bad. Most people are still getting drug tested. You know what I mean? So again, we have to be aware of the whole issue. So yes, grow your own if you can, share your own, right? You can't sell it, but you could donate it. You could receive a donation. So again, co-ops, we need more. Where are we smoking at, right? Where are the lounges at? Where are the cannabis consumption lounges? Obviously, we have hookah lounges and stuff like that. I know people smoke at the hookah lounge, people smoke at the bar, the club, whatever, but we need dedicated spaces. I don't like being around alcoholics all the time. You know what I mean? Like, I want to go to a place where it's cannabis friendly. You know what I mean? But again, we need some of these spaces. Let me see. I am just outside of Athens. Shout out to Athens. Go Bobcats. And just recently found your channel and have subscribed to keep informed on these issues. Thank you for what you do. Appreciate you, Mark. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best to stay abreast of everything going on in the Ohio cannabis industry. Let us know. I mean, everything operates different, right? Athens operates different than Franklin County, operates different than Lincoln County. You have these farm towns. There's a lot of different things going on politically. So, again, if there's anything in Athens, I fell in love with weed in Athens. That's what I tell people. I fell in love with Ohio and Athens. And then I quickly realized every place is not like Athens. Everybody is not like people from Athens. The people of Athens are good people, man. I get a lot of love when I go back. Sometimes I got to go back to Athens just to recharge my battery because I get a lot of love in Athens. As you can see, all my memorabilia. You know what I mean? I have Athens has a very special place in my heart. When I probably retire, I might move to Athens. You know what I mean? So I love Athens. Was just down there a couple weeks ago for a game. Medford, Ohio here, Sciotaville County. I ain't never even heard of that shit. About 2 hours south of you. Okay, Yelp profile and such. It's still up. I had 80 pounds of Delta 8 flour at one time. Oh, wow. That's crazy in my shop. That's pretty cool. Elyria, Ohio. I have heard of Elyria. What's good? What's good? What's good? All true for sure, bro. Yeah, and so I mean, I think it's important, you know what I mean? And if anybody want to hop on, um, I do allow people to hop on. We can have a chat, man. I'll put the link in the comments again. And please feel free to hop on, man. All you gotta do is hit the link, join the and once I see you in here, I'll add you. But I like to have conversations with people too, man, just to see where people coming from. I'm a millennial, so I'm used to being disruptive. I came into this world very disruptive. I'm a child born out of wedlock to teenage parents. You know what I mean? My granddad was a cannabis grower in the house that I was raised in. I didn't find that out until um, my late 30 or late 20s, early 30s. My aunts was like, yeah, we used to take nugs off your granddad's plant and go sell them or smoke them, you know what I mean, and shit like that. And actually, I just talked to my uncle, my granddad's younger brother, and he was like, yeah, we used to get so high. But it's cool, when you get older, you become an adult, and the adults in your life start to reveal shit that you ain't really know. I knew they were smokers and drinkers. Like, I saw alcohol all the time, 40s and shit. My grandmother died early. She was a smoker. But when it comes to cannabis, man, you just the stigma behind it has just been so bad. My parents didn't smoke or consume. My parents didn't drink. So my house was dry. We didn't have nothing. And then I had a few friends when I got like middle school, high school. That's where it really started. And I started smiling. I was like, this is what they complaining about? This shit make me feel good. We was drinking already, but we was underage drinking, but I started smoking. I'm like, now again, also reputable sources, right? Like, you gotta know who you getting your weed from. You know what I mean? Like, again, I'm very privileged. I grew up in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. I went to private schools, so a lot of my friends, their older brothers and siblings had bread. You know what I mean? So we wasn't smoking Reggie and mids. Like we was always smoking some pretty good weed. I got to Athens, Meigs County Gold. Like we always had some gas, always. So I'm a little pretentious in the weed game. You know what I mean? Like I didn't start buying weed myself until probably my mid-20s for real. I would always have friends go buy it for me. All my friends was the dealer. You know what I mean? So like I never really was like somebody that had to go shopping and hunting. You know what I mean? And again, I was an athlete, so I didn't have a lot of wiggle room to make fucking mistakes. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to get caught up in no drug stings, no drug operations. I'm trying to go to the league. Okay, I made it. I got cut, but I was trying to get to the league with nothing on my record. You know what I mean? Which I was very blessed to do. And again, I didn't need weed money to facilitate my lifestyle. You know what I mean? Because again, I just knew the risk reward wasn't necessarily there. Even now, the risk reward still isn't there. That's why I'm more so like we need to be suing the fuck out of the state because the state that made what $3 billion. They done sold $3 billion worth of weed. Still no social equity. Still no community fund. Still no tier 3. Still no craft grow. Still no delivery. Still no advertising. Still no education. Even home grow. The state should be handing out seeds. The state of Ohio should be handing out weed seeds. That's how progressive we should be. It should be weed everywhere. All these farmers, we can't sell corn, we can't sell soybeans because Trump and these tariffs, and China don't want them. Guess what? You better start selling growing some weed. That's why again I'm supporting the hemp farmers because again, hemp can be turned into a bunch of different products. And that's what DeWine was like, the hemp was legalized because it could be used for industrial uses, but now chemists are coming in, changing the chemical makeup of the compounds, and so now it got more THC. And it's like, bro, like, yeah, but if we focus on the industrial side, maybe we will progress past the bullshit. All right. We should be industrial. Like, there's over 50,000 different uses of the hemp plant. And this is also why we got to get out of just smoking weed just to smoke weed. Like, what are the other uses, right? I'm looking for people that can make hemp clothes, right? People that make hemp, hempcrete for homes, right? For insulation in homes. Hemp can be used for cat litter. Hemp can be used for food, for bedding, for animal bedding. There's just so many different uses of the hemp plant, but we don't have the what's the word I'm looking for? We don't have the supply chain, right? You might have a hemp grower, but then who's going to process that hemp into another form, right? Who's going to process that hemp into clothes? Who's going to process that hemp into feed? Who's going to process that hemp into oils? Who's going to process the hemp into plastics? Who's going to use hemp to clean the soil, clean the air, clean the water? Like but that takes education. Whole time, Ohio State University is a federal land grant institution with thousands of acres of land. And are they doing anything in hemp? I think there have been a couple of research projects, but again, you got to look at the institutional level. And this is when we talk about politics. Y'all be Buckeye fans, y'all Ohio State fans. That's politics. The head coach of Ohio State is getting paid more than the governor. Ohio State is a federally funded state school. So that means the state of Ohio is paying the coach. The state of Ohio is paying Jeremiah Smith, right? Ohio State, I believe, is also the largest employer of the state. So you have to look at the nuances and understand that, one, if you live in the state, you're a ward of the state. Most people are wards of the state and don't even realize it. So pay attention. Pay attention to what's going on. All right, let me finish this article. I am taking action today to get these products off the streets and to have them taken off of our shelves. DeWine said Wednesday during a press conference, intoxicating hemp is dangerous and we need a better protection to better protect our children. We believe this is the right thing to do. Again, also like this whole protecting the children, bro. Like Ohio is like leading, like we're like one of the worst states for overall healthcare, one of the worst states for economic development. We're one of the worst states for overall like education right now, like human trafficking in Ohio, sex trafficking in Ohio, all the issues. Like y'all don't care about kids, bro. Like let's keep it a buck. I've been a stay-at-home dad for 8 years, and it has been one. If I didn't have the money, the infrastructure, the know-how, and the support, my kids would not have had the amount of exposure to stuff that they had exposure to. But again, we come from a very privileged background. I'm gonna make sure that I take my kids to where the nicest parks are, the nicest playgrounds, the metro parks, extracurricular activities. But again, everybody doesn't have that, right? I'm living in Columbus right now, and the lack of things for families, children that are cost effective is mind blowing. We got to go to Westerville to go to the toddler play, which thankfully Westerville allows us to come into the rec center for like $3. You know what I mean? But other than that, like the membership for a non-resident at Westerville, like $120 a month, $60 a month, something like that. But City of Columbus isn't doing toddler time and rec time consistently that I've seen. And so again, people have to go to where they're supported, where they have resources, opportunities. The one thing I do love about Columbus is the library, the public library system. So we do have some good libraries. We'll go downtown. We'll go to Gahanna sometimes. We'll go over to Westerville, New Albany. But again, exposure and access to resources, information. There are people in Ohio that still don't have internet. There's people in Ohio that still don't have 5G. There's people in Ohio that, healthcare about to get cut in some of these smaller towns and communities because of what Trump doing. So people have to be aware, like politics plays a major role, and depending on where you live, like, it's gonna determine your wellness, right? Your overall wellness. I do work for my nonprofit in Springfield, Ohio, and then the whole Haitian and they're eating the cats and dogs shit happened. And I'm like, oh, this shit is crazy because the whole fucking city is like destitute. I'm like, where did this come from? Like in my community, in my nonprofit, we were literally providing human services to all people, the Haitians, white people, African Americans, whoever needed free healthcare services, whoever needed food, whoever needed resources, we were available in creating these spaces. And I fucking was like, oh, I can't deal with this shit. They might think I'm one of them and try to deport me. You know what I mean? But again, there's just so much shit going on, and it's not good enough to just be like, well, my life is good, so fuck everybody else. And it's very easy to do that. Trust me. I be having that fuck it sometimes where I'm like, yo, my life is. I don't have to say shit. I didn't have to start Ohio Cannabis Report. I started this shit because I saw a gap in education. I saw a gap in the media space, and people don't understand in industry cannabis, you have the plant touching side and then you have the ancillary side, right? And so do I have 10, 15, 20 M's, 50 million? Can I fundraise 10, 15, 20 million to open up a dispensary or a cultivator? Fuck no. Like I got friends with bread, but that's a tall task, especially when it's not guaranteed that you're going to get a license, right? Because we have a limited license. There in the medical field, it was a limited license. You know what I mean? Now it's dual use, it's still limited license. And so for me, I saw opportunity in the media space because I could do media from anywhere. I'm in my fucking crib smoking weed. I don't gotta touch the plant, I don't gotta do shit, but I could talk about it all day. I could write stories about it all day. I can, write articles on LinkedIn and online all day and build my public persona and platform, but also build a platform to help other people. And so people got to realize that, especially with the internet, with social media, become an influencer, right? In cannabis, right? It's not saying that you got to show your weed or talk about how cannabis helps you, right? Talk about the positive sides of cannabis. Talk about how cannabis has helped you navigate through stress, trauma, grief. I think there's just so many more aspects of it than just getting high, being lazy. Like if you smoke weed and then you're creative and draw or create a masterpiece, share that, right? As an athlete, I smoke weed and go work out and exercise and perform. I share that. I also have a platform called Athletes in Cannabis, just so you guys are aware. Um, so for me, it's like we have to get out of this, like, oh, like my weed is better than yours, or I grow the best weed. It's like, no, okay, you grow good weed, but what is that? Like, we should be teaching people how to build community, but also seek health and wellness in weed, because that's what it truly is. Um, so sorry about that, but I'm very passionate about it because one, we live in a system that has is it's capitalistic, right? So they only care about it when they can profit off of it, right? And so again, as humans, as citizens, we can't keep falling into the trap of like, oh, well, politics this, politics that. Well, if you're not involved in politics, then what the fuck are we complaining about? Because politics runs everything, whether you want to believe it or not. You know what I mean? Like the reason we're in the predicament that we're in, if you drive on the roads, if you use gas, if you shop at the grocery store, if you shop, period, you're online. So politics is a part of your world. Um, but not showing up, right? Not writing your legislator, not contacting. I'm gonna pull this sheet up for y'all right here, and y'all be able to see. You can literally write an email to the governor or the governor's aides or whoever works in their office. And all of this is public knowledge, public information. Da, 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 da. So this is literally the contacts for the governor's office. If you have a problem, if you live in the state of Ohio, like most things come down from the governor or the state legislature. Your city council members are going to tell you to go to the state house. Your county commissioners are going to tell you to go to the state house. So this is the external staff contact list for Office of Governor Mike DeWine. The address is 77 South High Street. Show up. Go to that man's door. They work for you. You talk about politics. If you pay taxes, you are literally paying the salary of the governor and the state representatives. They work for you. It's not the other way around. Stop being some bitches. They work for you. If the politics isn't benefiting you, show the fuck up to the people that work for you. You know what I mean? Like, you can complain online, we can complain on YouTube, we can complain on Reddit, on Facebook groups. You can complain in all that bullshit. You're just fucking yelling into a dark void. Go to the people that fucking make the decisions. It's that simple. A closed mouth don't get fed. You complaining to somebody that's in the same fucking situation as you. And so now y'all just complaining, lulling each other to sleep. Whole time these politicians over here are doing whatever the fuck they want because nobody's showing up. I've literally shown up to the state house and talked to these politicians, and they will literally say, nobody is coming to our office hours. Nobody is coming to speak to us. So guess what they do? They make decisions based on the people who come and talk to them. And the people that typically come and talk to them are lobbyists. And those lobbyists are typically lawyers who are hired by consulting firms and big businesses to go lobby on the behalf of the business owners so they can get more money, they can get tax abatements and shit like that. So when you look at Ohio cannabis industry right now, who are the main lobbyists for Ohio cannabis industry? It's OCAN. Who operates OCAN? Well, OCAN is funded by the majority of the multi-state operators and all the big cultivation facilities, dispensary owners in the state of Ohio. They are in a group. That group is called OCAN. OCAN has a board of people who operate the business dealings, right? They create their own events, and then they say, hey, we're going to go lobby at the state house for you. So you really want to know who was behind this hemp thing? It was OCAN. Because OCAN and those business owners realized, hey, we're losing money, not only to Michigan, not only to home growers, but to these hemp dispensaries, to these CBD suppliers, to the gas stations. We want all the energy to be focused towards dispensaries. And so they hire people. The person that runs OCAN is their mouthpiece is Adrian Robbins, who knows nothing about cannabis, nothing about cannabis culture. She's a ditzy blonde girl who was a news media journalist because she used to work with my wife, who's in the news. And then she became a lot, or she works for some type of consulting firm. And then they just brought her over to OCAN, I think this year. And so she's been the one mainly lobbying at the state house, talking to these legislators and politicians. Ask me how I know? Well, I've been paying a fucking attention. And so I'm not afraid to call them out. But the problem is, I'm only one person. Now, if 1,000 people called them out, there's 11.8 million people in the state of Ohio. What, 2.7 million people voted for cannabis legalization. More people voted for cannabis legalization in the state of Ohio than voted for Governor Mike DeWine. But if you don't show up every day, right? If you're not writing an email, making a call, showing up to the state house is, you can walk in the state house. And I know everybody don't live within driving range of the state house, but again, like, I advise y'all, to start paying attention, because again, either you're rich in America or you're poor. That whole middle class shit is going away. You know what I mean? It's the haves versus the have-nots. And so if you want to keep being controlled by people, then don't show up. You know what I mean? Don't speak up. I can tell you, I went to Catholic private school most of my life in Washington, D.C. My parents were federal government, worked for the federal government most of my life. I know how this system works. So you can either be involved or you can sit on the sidelines and complain and expect other people to do the work for you. I can't do the work for everybody. I have my own issues that I deal with, my own thing. I don't know everybody's situation. You know what I mean? But again, here are contacts. Deputy Chief Legal Counsel. Look, email, office number. Giles Allen, Director of Legislative Affairs. I wonder what he does. Guess what? Email, phone number. William Ashburn, Workforce Project Manager. So guess what? If you are having issues finding work, why don't you go to the Workforce Project Manager guy? Michael Bender, Business Advocate, Common Sense Initiative. Looking for business help? There's a guy. Sorry, I'm clicking stuff. But I get passionate about this stuff because it's like, bro, like, the shit is here. Like, it's not rocket science. You can use the internet to do more than just fucking be entertained. And I feel like so many people just come on the internet, use social media just to be fucking entertained on some bullshit. Melissa Baker, Recovery Ohio Public Relations Coordinator. Now, Recovery Ohio received billions of dollars from the lawsuit against the pharmaceutical companies in the opioid issue. Now, let's talk about that, because guess what is a great alternative for opioids? Maybe it's cannabis. Maybe people are going to the CBD store. Maybe people are using hemp-derived THC because they know that, oh, this might be a little bit better than fucking Tylenol, ibuprofen, or all these opioids that we're taking. So where is the billions of dollars of money from Recovery Ohio going? Well, guess what? Maybe the public relations coordinator might know something about that. Melissa Baker, melissa.baker@governor.ohio.gov. Or you can call her office. Leave her a message. Hey, Melissa, since you're the public relations coordinator, where's all the money going for Recovery Ohio? Why aren't we telling people that, hey, cannabis is a better alternative than alcohol, than pills? Why aren't we teaching people how to microdose cannabis? Why aren't we teaching people about terpenes instead of just sativa indica hybrid? Why aren't we teaching people that, CBD, CBG, CBN, there's more than just THC, right? Like, to just ban shit and then be like, well, no, no, you have to teach people nuance. You have to teach people that there are gray areas. That, like, everything isn't just black and white. But guess what? The information's right there. And y'all can't just expect one or two people to do the work. Like, everybody has to be a part of it. I get, there's racial issues and people don't think, like, I ain't poor. So people be racist and mad at me. I'm not poor. I don't have no student loan debt. Every bit of money that comes into my pocket goes into a nest egg. You know what I mean? Like, I'm educated. I could read, I could write. Like, I'm world traveled. I've traveled the country. You know what I mean? Like, ain't that you could be racist against me. You ain't stopping me from being successful. You know what I mean? And no slightest. You know what I mean? But people got to understand poverty is a hell of a drug. And as somebody that was born into poverty, working class America, and the majority of my family is still in poverty, like you can't help everybody either. You can lead folks to the water, you can't force them to drink it. And I'm somebody, I lead by action. Like, I can tell you till I'm blue in the face, but I'm not somebody that's gonna hold your hand. You know what I mean? So I think it's important that people understand, like, you're a fucking grown ass adult. Do some adult work. You got Joseph Baker, director, Common Sense Initiative. Email, office number. Sarah Brassington, Western Ohio Regional Liaison. So if you're in Western Ohio, you need some help. There you go. Oh, Amy Brenner, the governor's scheduler. Oh my gosh, I'm pretty sure she's has a powerful responsibility. Amy.Brenner at governor.ohio.gov. Contact her. The senior legislative liaison, Lindsay Brigano. Dustin Burton, executive assistant to the governor. I'm sure as the executive assistant to the governor, he is right there next to the governor at all times. Look what they gave you, his email. So if you can't get in touch with the governor directly, contact his executive assistant, right? Then you have Margaret Camp, executive assistant to the lieutenant governor's chief of staff in Central Ohio regional liaison. So if you're in Central Ohio, bow, there you go. Haley Carducci, press secretary to the lieutenant governor. Emily Clary, operations director, governor's residence. Derek Chancellor, Southwest Ohio regional liaison, lieutenant governor. Carla Carpenter, federal policy director. Now, this was February 18th, 2025. So these still should be pretty good. Colin Claywell, operations manager, board and commissions. Janet Conkey, HR manager. Jordan Connor, deputy director of boards and commissions. Gretchen Craycraft, senior legislative liaison. Luann Cook, Northwest Ohio regional liaison, lieutenant governor. Andrew Connors, legislative liaison. Aaron Crooks, chief of staff, lieutenant governor. Dwight Crum, deputy director, Innovate Ohio. Laurel Dawson, counselor to the governor. Matt Donahue, chief legal counsel. Ava DeMasi, college intern. Jill Del Greco Donahue, senior communications advisor. Kevin Donahue, I wonder if these are all part of the same family. The mail clerk, Samantha Dorgan, constituent aide. Haley Donahue, director of boards of commission. Trey Frazee, personal aide to the lieutenant governor. Caitlin Fliss, assistant policy director, transportation and Fed FDG. Jonathan Field, Innovate Ohio. Beth Gian, I don't know, constituent aide, Elizabeth Goodwin, Nozick, Northern Ohio regional liaison. Nikki Guildford, director, Washington, D.C. office. Sarah Hack, director or deputy director, Recovery Ohio. Again, you're looking for something to deal with opioids, the opioid crisis. Recovery Ohio is where you need to go. Race was invented by Swedish scientists in 1700s. Race is a human concept. No other living organism on Earth is classified by race, human race. For sure. I mean, race is also a part of the capitalist society, right? To keep people separated, keep people thinking that they're different and other, right? To, do what it does. Divide and conquer. Legal assistant, April Harrison. Mary Kate Hastings, Northeast Ohio regional liaison. Kirk I don't know. I'm not going to say that. Cybersecurity strategy advisor, Jason Hill, constituent affairs. Eric Hinton, office administrator. Matthew Kelly, director of coalitions. Uh, so again, I mean, this is all legal, right? This is all open public knowledge. The government works for you. It's supposed to work for you, not against you. Oh. Felicia King, director of faith-based and community initiatives, right? Oh, separation of church and state. Oh, churches are nonprofits, so are public universities and institutions. So are cities are often nonprofits. Like the city of Columbus is a nonprofit. The city of Bexley, New Albany, these are nonprofit corporations. The state is operating as a nonprofit as well. You got the speechwriter, you got legal assistant, deputy director, Monique Moore. These are all, you know what I mean? This is the contact list, yo. Policy director, assistant policy director for natural resources, communications director, press assistant, coalition and communications manager, lieutenant governor, director, visual communications, director of military and veteran relations, assistant policy director, public safety, security director, legislative liaison, executive assistant to the chief advisor, Southwest Ohio regional liaison, business advocate, common sense initiative, director of Recovery Ohio. There you go. Hit up the director, manager of regional affairs in Southeast Ohio regional lieutenant governor, Megan Wadsworth, assistant policy director, economic development, press secretary, communications advisor, Southeast Ohio regional liaison, regional administrative assistant, business advocate, common sense initiative, deputy policy director, personal aide to the governor, senior advisor, aerospace and defense, constituent aide, special assistant to cabinet affairs director, Central Ohio regional liaison. Those are all the contacts, my people. You know what I mean? Hit them up. Like email is a powerful tool. Y'all seen the numbers? If you have an issue, hey, I need money. I'm a business owner. I'm fucking struggling out here. I just gave you a list of somebody to call. Hey, my family is drugged out on opioids. We need resources from that Recovery One Foundation because this was the breadwinner of our household. I don't know. There's all types of fucking shit going on out here. Oh, we need more jobs. We need better roads. We need better bridges. We need healthier schools. We need healthier environment, the water. Like, these corporate entities don't give a fuck. Y'all think Meta, Google, Amazon, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg gives a fuck about you or their bottom line? Let's be serious. Even the small business owners don't give a fuck about y'all, right? These hemp people. Clearly, a lot of the hemp folks don't give a fuck either because they're not speaking up politically. When we showed up to the State House to do a testimony, when they were trying to recriminalize cannabis before summer break, we had 40 people show up. 40 to testify against the state. The state of Ohio has 11.8 million people. 11.8 million people. And the politics isn't working for the majority of people unless you have money and power and influence. Again, I put my ring on wherever I go because this ring has gotten me out of more shit than anything. When police pull me over or the state highway patrol pulls me over or somebody in power sees my ring, first thing they do is, oh, what's the ring for? Can I see it? You play football at OU? How was that? What was that experience like? Oh, you try out for the NFL? Now, me as a Black person, which oftentimes can be hard to humanize for somebody that didn't grow up around you, now I'm human because you like football, I played football, now we can have a conversation. Old white Republican dudes love talking about football. We don't have shit in common. You know what I mean? You could be racist as fuck. Now, again, you could be prejudiced, racist, whatever. I moved out to Ohio and I realized why y'all so racist and prejudiced. Y'all don't live around Black people. Y'all don't see Black people outside of, in passing, outside of sports and entertainment on TV or the news. So y'all wouldn't know. How many white people I met in college was the first time they ever met a Black person and spent a bunch of time around Black people. And then what happens? You go right back to your little lily white suburb. You go back to your little white town. And then you start talking about black people. Oh, well, black people. Yeah, we operate different. We do different things differently. You know what I mean? Like, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? And again, you can't hide history. Part of the issue in Ohio is Ohio likes to hide history. Corporate America likes to hide truth. That's why they wanted to get rid of DEI. That's why we don't like talking about slavery or the freeing of black people. The state of Ohio wasn't truly a free state for black people. Black people were running away from the South, from slavery, up north to go to Canada. In Ohio was on the surface a free state, but there were black codes enacted in 1803 and 1804. And those black codes basically insinuated if you didn't have home ownership, if you didn't have a job, and you were escapee, somebody can catch you and return you for a reward to your master. Or they can catch you and make you be an indentured servant for them. So Ohio is not a free state. That's why the prison industrial complex is huge in Ohio. That's why the military industrial complex is huge in Ohio. That's why a lot of these corporations come to Ohio, and it's a at will state. So these companies can fire you at will. So again, I'm from the East Coast. I was born in New York, upstate New York, raised in DC. So I may be a little bit smarter at the tongue than most black folks here, which again, I don't get along with a lot of black folks here because they're so just in the fold. You know what I mean? Oh, this is just how it's always been. It's racist as fuck, but yeah, you just got to deal with it. Like, no the fuck I don't. You know what I mean? Like, shit is stupid. Motherfuckers is crazy. Stop calling me, bro. People always like calling while you busy. Let's see. My local population seems pretty ignorant about all of this. I think most people, yeah, I mean, everybody's ignorant, right? Because one thing that I realized too is that, so when we legalized cannabis, right, we were in the middle of COVID, right? So adult or medical use was legalized 6 years ago, right? So that'd have been 2019. We were coming out of Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, all of this stuff. We legalized it for medical use, but then fast forward to even more to that, or backtrack even more to that. 2018 was the hemp farm bill, right? Biden, but you had Trump, then Biden came in, the hemp bill 2018, which legalized hemp. So then, it was kind of became a free for all. People were like, yo, I'm gonna just grow hemp, I'm gonna just sell hemp. And again, the political part wasn't there. Like everybody's just like, oh, I'm gonna just go make some money, but not get involved on the policy side, not get involved on the education side, the awareness side, all the other sides outside of just smoking weed. Then 2019, we passed medical in Ohio. So now you can go get a medical card. You can go to a dispensary. It took a minute to open up dispensaries, X, Y, and Z. But again, where was the education at? The cultivators didn't come out and start educating the community. The dispensaries only educate you if you go to the dispensary. There's no outside education. Well, you have some companies that started, like Cleveland School of Cannabis, but who wants to pay fucking $10,000 to go get educated on starting a cannabis company, right? Who has that money? First of all, who wants to go in debt for that? When you could just go join a cannabis company, you can go sign up to be a bud tender. You don't need fucking special qualifications necessarily to be a bud tender, because most of the bud tenders can't even tell you anything. You know what I mean? Like they are serving medical patients, but are being treated like retail workers. So you had medical, where then you can only get a medical card. There was only 19 to 20 different ailments and illnesses that you can get a med card for. Then you had doctors, excuse me, you had doctors charging $200 for a med card. So not only now we have legal industry, but then you're going to tell me I got to go find one. I have to have medical access, right? I have to have a primary care physician, or I have to have like mine. I got my medical card for chronic pain. Oh, my bad. I didn't even see you. Are you in here?
Yeah, I'm in here. Can you hear me?
All right, cool. Sorry, I didn't even see you was on the stage.
Nah,
I'm finished
I
telling the
just
story.
hey man,
Go ahead.
can you send me that screenshot of the emails and stuff that you have posted?
Yep, I'll put the link in the comments.
Fantastic, man. Fantastic work you're doing. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, no problem. Thank you. What part of the state you hitting us up from?
Today I'm over here in Dayton.
Oh, nice.
I'm from the Lakeview area. I'm over near Lima, Bell Fountain, Indian Lake area.
Okay. Shout out to Dayton. Shout out to the
Yeah,
whole Ohio, man. For sure.
absolutely, absolutely. I work with the Appalachian Hemp Girls closely,
Okay.
a distributor and representative for the company. So I'm following what you're saying closely. I want to be very active and proactive in trying to um, get our government officials to see our way.
For sure. Tell us about App Girls and fill us in because I mean I do some work with App Girls as well.
So, App Girls is a local hemp company here to the state of Ohio. They've been working really hard, right? They got a hemp permit years ago when hemp became legal in Ohio. They grew hemp. They make CBD products. They've got a wonderful education program. They have a facility down in Athens to help other hemp growers. So they've been, paving the way and doing their part. And so now they've released the Appalachian Hemp Girl drinks, which everybody knows them for now.
Yep.
And these drinks are legal, hemp compliant, federally hemp compliant drinks. They have the 0.3% THC per volume, like they're supposed to, and they're not advertised toward kids. They have a 21 and up label on it. They have a QR code defining all of the ingredients that are in it, as well as they have nutrition facts on the side. So we've
Hmm.
been very transparent with what we're trying to do. We've been above board in every way, yet DeWine has decided to put his foot down on our throats, and it's going to hurt us bad. We got people that work for us full time. They support their families. They support their lifestyles. They pay taxes based upon what they do in the hemp industry. We have interns that we're working with that part of their school credits come from being able to work with the Appalachian girls. So DeWine's really cutting off a lot, for us as Ohio citizens, and there's not a whole lot of reason. Like we don't see any safety concerns when it comes to children and these types of products as far as these drinks are concerned. We do see what he is talking about, and we would like to see regulation come down about that, but not like this.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I think what we're seeing right is just one broad stroke against the whole cannabis community, and like you pointed to, this is one, it's economics, right? You People are creating jobs, so App Girls has created jobs, opportunities. You look at a place like Athens, Nelsonville, where there aren't a lot of jobs,
Right,
especially innovative jobs in kind of new industries, where App Girls is really um, bringing awareness to the Appalachian region, but also again bringing opportunities to young folks to get into the cannabis and the hemp industry in all different facets, whether it's marketing, advertising, product development, logistics. The entire supply chain that is created from the cannabis industry. So, again, when he had his press conference, and the pictures show it, he didn't show any other products outside of candy, right?
right,
So his
exactly.
like his big thing was candy, candy, candy. These Look at these nerds, and then look at these THC nerds. Look at these
Right,
gushers, and look at these THC gushers. There was no drinks, which we know in order to get App Girls cannabis drinks at any store, at a restaurant, at a bar, wherever, you have to be 21 years or older, right?
right,
You have to
right,
have an ID. You have to be carded.
right,
Also, if you look, I got App Girls right up here. There is no types of insinuating that these are pushed towards children.
not at
And
all.
so, again, I think it's important that we say that. Also, DeWine didn't have a pack of hemp flower up there. He didn't have
Nope.
a pre-rolled joint. He didn't have any other type of thing that can be produced from hemp. He didn't have any hemp, let's say hempcrete, right? He didn't have any hemp
No.
clothes. He didn't
Right.
have any hemp stocks. Like,
You didn't have any CBD up there, nothing.
Right. You know what I mean? So again, it's pointing to the same issues that we've always had in cannabis, is where let's try to scare people, right? Let's bring up Nation Children's Hospital. They've done this study. They've done this study on 500 kids. One kid, I think the lady said, died because of cannabis, but also I'm a healthcare professional, guys. And when you understand healthcare, you have to understand there's a whole thing, right? Like you can't just take one part of a study and make that the focus without sharing all of the information about the study, right? If somebody
Correct.
died and they ingested cannabis, did they have any other pre-existing conditions? Because that is also a factor, right? What all was in the cannabis? Where did they get it from? I have been consuming cannabis for a long time. I've been around a lot of people that have consumed cannabis for a long time. I've never met anybody, me personally, that has been hospitalized behind cannabis or that has committed suicide behind cannabis. We had one teammate in college that I believe was dealing with some schizophrenic issues, but also those are typically pre-existing conditions. And so I think it's important in a state like Ohio, where we have one of the worst healthcare systems in the fucking country, we have some of the lowest educational attainment in the country, that we start being more nuanced in our conversations around everything. Because again, there's no flat out ban against alcohol. There's no flat out ban against tobacco. There's no flat out ban against opioids or pills,
Melatonin.
melatonin, Tylenol. You know what I mean? Like Pepsi, Coca-Cola. You can
Right,
go to
right.
the grocery
Sugar.
store.
High
You know.
fructose corn syrup.
So again,
Yeah.
as citizens, this is why we created the platform, just to kind of create more of a nuanced conversation, because obviously our state legislators don't want to have some of those conversations. Everything seems to be blanketed. But this is also why the voice of the people matters. And like I said, when we passed legalization, DeWine has always been against cannabis in all forms. And so obviously the will of the people, more people voted for cannabis legalization than voted for DeWine. And so they're finding any type of way to try to limit full access to the plant, which again typically harms those that are less fortunate, right? So if you have less money, less resources, less educational attainment, you're going to be criminalized because, again, somebody said grow your own. If you don't own an apartment or you don't own a home, where are you going to grow weed? Where are you going to smoke it? That protects you. Because again, criminalization doesn't always mean you're going to be in trouble with the law. But just think about it. If you start getting fined at your apartment $200, $500, a citation here, that money adds up and you can't afford your lifestyle. Absolutely. Which ends up catching a lot of people up. So this is why we as citizens have to be more vocal in all different aspects, and let our voices be heard.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
Let me see. Buckeye Buds, the safety concerns are straight BS. For sure. And again, that's why, again, us as humans, us as adults have to speak up. And we have to be louder and more nuanced than them, and they're showing us that they're not nuanced. I mean, I think Stuart Little deserves to be in a senior home. I think, obviously politics is a weird game. You know what I mean? They'll stoke the fire for all the different social issues. They'll say, oh, let's protect the kids, but we don't want to educate our children. We don't want our kids to be in more diverse environments around other types of ethnicities or religions because, oh, you may impact this person. Like, we're not controlling guns. Like, we're not controlling a lot of shit. But, oh, the weed, let's do this. Let's, and so, again, I'm against the legal weed industry as well because a lot of the big business owners, where's the social equity and community money, right? And when I talk about social equity, it's not just Black people, it's poor people, it's marginalized people, it's people in places like Athens, which is Appalachia, which is known for its poverty. And so again, we can get stuck on the social issues, but once you realize it's the haves versus the have-nots, either you have it or you don't, which side are you on, right? Like, it should be eat the rich You know what I mean? It should be overthrow the government because they're not for your best interest. And that's in our Constitution, which clearly they don't care about, right?
Right.
And freedom of speech, right? We all have freedom of speech. So you can say whatever the fuck you want, and just stand on it, right? So I think it's
Right.
important that, our community collectively as a cannabis community come together, right? I know everybody wants to sell weed, make some money. But if we all come together and support each other in our own endeavors and initiatives, no matter what part of the state you're in, we become stronger, and the industry becomes better for everybody instead of just a select few, right? People keep saying, oh, go to Michigan, go to Michigan. Not everybody can afford a trip to Michigan. Like,
Right.
not everybody has that in their cards. Nor should they have to when we have legal in our own state. We should want our state's legal program to benefit all people, not just a select few. So, that's what I stand on. Again, I have privilege. I could drive to Michigan if I wanted to, but I don't fucking want to. You know what I mean? Like, why would I keep giving my tax money to Michigan? That makes no sense. And then complain when they beat your ass in football. Like, half of the state
That's
then
right.
you gave them tax money to be better in football just for your game.
Right.
So, again, the people of Ohio have to wake up. People got to get out of their houses. People got to get out of their little vacuums, and realize that what's happening is an attack on everybody's liberties. It's not just a select few. It's a lot of us that are being trampled on, and they're using a lot of different social issues to do it. You know what I mean? And I know there's tons of people in the cannabis industry that are very diverse, come from very diverse backgrounds. And that's what I love about weed, right? It's supposed to bring us together. It's supposed to, help us educate and be a part of this community and family. And right now, there is a division for sure. And, hopefully one day, we'll get past it. But let us know any other talking points you got about app girls, or what you think, or ways we can facilitate a positive movement in the right direction.
I'm with you. I just want to advocate in seconds, like everybody, make these phone calls. My man right here is making it really simple for us. Did the homework. Make these phone calls. Call these guys. Let them know they're disturbing our lifestyle. Let's disturb theirs a little bit. Steal their inboxes up and their voicemails. Let's let them have a little issue with it too. Like,
For
don't let
sure.
all the pressure be put on us. So I think we got a really great community here in Ohio. A lot of resources. I think we can win if we stick together and work hard.
For sure. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I appreciate
Where
you,
can
bro.
where can the people find you at? Are you on social media?
Yes,
You
sir.
are
I'm Lettuce Leaf Farms. If you guys know me, you see me at all the events. I'm also the home grower. I teach, educate people about craft cannabis. I also make free RSO if you need it. You're a cancer patient, if you're a veteran. Me, Ronnie Smith with Ohio Boys, we give away free RSO, free Phoenix Tears, free education, so that you can try and produce your own craft medicine, and you can stay ahead of the laws and changes that the government's making. So yeah, definitely all on social media, Facebook, Instagram. Link in with us there. App Girls is also on all those platforms as well. Um, so yeah, tap in with us.
Yeah, man. Shout out to everybody in Athens. Shout out to all of the App Girls family. Shout out to Cool Diggs, Sarah
Cool Big,
Coria.
Syracuse. Yep.
Shout out to Ronnie, who's doing a lot of great work for veterans and supporting veterans, and donating a lot of product and flour to people, who grows really great flour, very passionate. Also an amazing story. And I think too, what we have to realize is that our stories are powerful. And the
Absolutely.
more that we share our stories about how cannabis has impacted our lives, right? Like, if you've dealt with, I mean, again, like I said, many of us are dealing with something, right? Whether it's
Right.
PTSD, whether it's physical pain, a mental illness, an internal illness, a spiritual battle. And that's why a lot of people turn to cannabis, because it's something that really helps, stabilize us, right? And helps balance us out in a world that's, giving us so much. So I think it's important that, um, when you have a story, you share that story because it humanizes you. It humanizes us. It humanizes cannabis in a way that, like, you can talk about people all day, but once you start to see, like, wow, these people are smoking weed, but they're having intelligent, dynamic conversations. They're not drugged out and on
Right.
fentanyl and all these other things that are destroying people's lives, and people are simply just trying to find balance and peace and hope and just a little bit of relief.
Absolutely.
And your story and cannabis being legal now allows us to share that story without feeling like we got to hide, right? And so I
Right.
tell people, even if you're selling weed, if you're still on the legacy market and the black market, you have the ability now to still concoct your message in a way where uh you can share that without criminalizing yourself.
Correct.
Because right now the state is selling it. So how could you
Mm-hmm.
possibly be a felon if the state is selling a product? You know what I mean? Like, so again, they're locking you out though. They're locking you out, and that's why hemp was such a thing, because hemp was a way that people could go, oh, I can't afford $500,000 to apply for this industry and not even win. Like
Right. Right.
the application process to even get a cultivator, to get a dispensary, was crazy. 100,000 cash, and then it doesn't guarantee that you're going to win a license. Like, who just has that, right? So again, the hemp allowed people to operate in a different capacity, and now the state, just because the state can't tax it or control it, now they want to put a ban on it. And so that's where we as individuals, us as people that are in the industry, that have been around cannabis for longer than it's been legal, this is where our legacy people need to come in. Our older OGs need to come in and step up and speak up. Also, if you have a business, you can sue the state. The state is being sued right now by multiple cannabis companies on the legal side of the medical and adult use, and also I think there was like 3 hemp companies also that have issued a lawsuit against Ohio and the governor. Let me see if I can look up the article here real quick. But when you have a business, what people have to understand is business protects you, right? So I have a nonprofit, I have a for-profit business. And so how does it protect me? I'm not afraid to talk a lot of shit, because guess what? Nobody can hire and fire me because I hire myself, which gives me freedom, where a lot of people don't have that same freedom, right? I'm not going to drug test myself. So a lot of people don't have the same freedom publicly because, again, they are expecting somebody else to pay their bills, and which, again, it's very valid. Um, but at some point in time, we have to realize what's more important, right? It's standing on our morals, it's standing on what we know to be true and right, or do we cower down because, oh, I got to make this money and get this check, when we know most of these corporations are fraudulently doing business anyway? You know what I mean? And you're just doing their bidding. So the state of Ohio is a very corrupt state. We've known that because we had one of the largest racketeering schemes in the history of the state just a few years ago, that seems to just fall into oblivion. But we're paying a corruption tax in the state for the householder issue, which also seeps into the cannabis issue because they're doing the same exact thing with cannabis. So again, people just have to wake up. You got to understand civics. You got to understand politics. Your business owner gets money and tax breaks for having businesses in the state of Ohio. Um, they're paying you less money, but he's making more money. You know what I mean? So again, the goal should be to get rid of the billionaires, because they're the ones fucking everybody over. You know what I mean? And that's in every aspect of our culture right now, right? They're controlling um the information pipeline, right? All of us are on these interwebs, and they are manipulating the algorithm. What can go through, what can't go through, what do we deem as good content, what don't we deem as good content? And so yeah, there's a lot of that going on. Let me see if I could pull up this lawsuit real quick. Here we go. This will be my last topic, and then I'll let you guys go. Ohio hemp affiliated businesses sue over Governor DeWine's hemp ban.
3 businesses affiliated with the hemp industry have sued Governor Mike DeWine and the Ohio Department of Agriculture. Filed Wednesday, the lawsuit stems from DeWine's short-term ban of hemp products with psychoactive ingredients like Delta-8 THC and THCA. According to Franklin County court documents, the Ohio-based retailers and manufacturers of hemp products argue DeWine is acting outside his authorities as governor. The filing asks the court to issue a short-term and a long-term block of his ban, which begins Tuesday. U.S. Hemp Roundtable General Counsel Jonathan Miller says he sees the recent action as both, quote, wrong-headed and illegal.
If the legal challenges are not successful, or if the legislation doesn't reverse this, it would have a devastating impact on the Ohio hemp industry.
The executive order lasts 90 days. Sarah Donaldson at the Ohio Public Radio State House News Bureau.
Mm-hmm. There was another lawsuit as well. Let me see if I can look that up. So this was another lawsuit as well. Excuse me. All right. Lawsuit claims Ohio marijuana rules on advertising and product violates voters' back law. So that was by the dispensaries, I believe, and cultivators. And then I'll show you guys one more thing, and I'll get out of your hair for today. So this is the lobby for the Ohio cannabis companies, right? This is OCAN. OCAN is not working for you. They are working for the business leaders of the Ohio cannabis industry. So let me see if they have any news. No real news. Legal loophole has created a wild west for intoxicating hemp products. So you can tell by the shit that they post what they're for, right? Which, again, America's the wild, wild west. I don't want to use Ricky Williams. Cannabis helped me after my NFL career. It can help from people. Boom. Here are their members. So Buckeye Relief and Amplify. Buckeye Relief is the cultivator. Amplify is the dispensary. Clutch, I believe they have cultivation and dispensaries. Firelands, Verdant, Creations. Here are all the dispensaries, processors. And again, all of these aren't bad actors either, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and say everyone is a bad actor. And they just have, this is, what capitalism does. You know what I mean? This is what capitalism does. You try to go to their team. Look, I tried to go to their team. No team. Members. Let's see what the membership. I wonder if I can get a membership. Do I think I'll be able to get a membership? Participation. Eligible to attend OCAN member meetings and join committees. How do I get a membership? Let's see. I forgot how to show their team. Oh, here we go. Leadership. So here's their leadership, the executive director. Again, I'm showing y'all the information. This is all this Adrian Robbins. This is the person that's the deputy director. And then you got this guy. And then here's your board, president, secretary, all the people. So again, this is another episode of the Ohio Cannabis Report. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, for showing love. Thank you to our guests for coming on and educating us on what's going on in the cannabis industry. Again, if you guys have any questions, you guys want to be on, please email us at ohiocannabisreport@gmail.com. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Substack, Patreon, at Ohio Cannabis Report. For all of those, just type in Ohio Cannabis Report. Also, if you want to support my nonprofit, Green Environmental Outreach, Green Environmental Outreach is also the umbrella that supports all of the work that I do for environment, sustainability, social justice, advocacy work. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. So if you donate to us, it will be tax deductible. So you can go to our website, www.geononprofit.org. Our whole goal and mission is to educate the community about environment, about sustainability, about alternative, ways of living and existing in a more sustainable, communal way, and impacting urban, rural, and suburban communities. We do community cleanups. We turn vacant community, blighted properties into new green spaces, whether it's a walking area, a seating area, bringing pollinators to the community. We turn part of our property into a food producing asset where we were in a food desert or a food apartheid zone. We are working on policy and advocating for green spaces, trees, and urban communities, food access, educational and healthcare access to underserved communities. So again, it's a lot of work that goes into it. It's a lot of love, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done here in the state, at the state level, at the county, and at the local city level. So again, please support. I'm going to put that in the banner real quick or in the comments. Also, we're always looking for volunteers and people to help with GEO. I'm always looking for people to help me with events and just getting the word out there and just educating people. Same thing with Ohio Cannabis Report. If you're interested in being a host, a guest, we want to do like more podcast style content as well. So if you're interested in being on the show, please hit me up. If you want to be an influencer, somebody in the space in Ohio that has a lot to say, and you just need a platform, Ohio Cannabis Report could be your platform. So again, send your resume to Ohio Cannabis Report at gmail.com. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, be blessed. Peace.